The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
Okay, who might think juvenile? Abigail Joyce Williams.
Getting scared now. It's getting cold.
Libby Rose Lynn German.
Missing, abducted, we don't know for sure.
Last seen at the High Bridge in Delphi, Indiana.
Delphi is just not one of those places where any of us ever thought that something like this would happen.
Despite that video, despite that audio, nothing happens, seemingly, for 6 years.
The judge did find probable cause for arrest of Richard Allen.
You're not going to find anything that ties me to those murders, so I'm not really that concerned.
The state built their case on three things: bridge guy, a bullet, and the brutal murders of two young girls.
I didn't murder two little girls.
Kathy Allen had called Brad and said something's wrong with Ricky. He's saying some crazy stuff.
I killed Abby and Libby.
The murder of two young girls in 2017 forever changed the small town of Delphi, Indiana. It took 5 years for investigators to track down the killer, and for some, there are still lingering questions about the case. I'm Ted Rollins, and this is Victim to Verdict. "75 miles northwest of Indianapolis, surrounded by fields of corn and soybeans, sits Delphi, Indiana. It's one of those places that before February of 2017, most people had never heard of, which is the very reason many people love to live there.
Delphi is a small town. The downtown is 2 blocks, literally a main street, old courthouse.
It's always been a tight community. It's been a place with a nice courthouse square, really proud of its trails.
The Delphi Historic Trails are a series of walking trails popular with hikers and walkers. Back in 2017, there was also an old rickety railroad bridge called the Monon High Bridge, 63 feet above Deer Creek. For kids living in Delphi, that bridge was a magnet, a place to go hang out with friends.
I grew up watching people post on their Snapchat stories, like going to the bridge to like read a book or things like that, and they'd have their feet like swinging over the edge. Dropping your kids off at the trails was just something that you did. It was just what kids did.
On the afternoon of February 13th, 2017, 14-year-old Liberty German and 13-year-old Abigail Williams are dropped off at the trails by Libby's older sister. It was a day off from school, and the plan was for Libby's dad to pick them up at 3 o'clock. Synth Rossi grew up with Abby and Libby.
It was around 2 p.m. I saw the picture of Abby on the bridge on their Snapchat stories, and I immediately just knew that something was wrong.
Libby's dad, Derek, gets there about 3 p.m., and there's no sign of the girls. Libby isn't answering her phone, and by 5:30, law enforcement is called.
Okay, who missing juvenile? Libby Rose Lynn German. Second juvenile, Abigail Joyce Williams.
Word spread quickly that help was needed, that these girls needed to be found. Hundreds of people turned out and searched through the night. It was a full town effort.
Missing, abducted, we don't know for sure. Cell phone has been pinging around town here. There's a cell phone tower, but the ping was last noted about 5 or 6 hours ago. They say the phone's now dead.
Ravines, ditches, trash cans for phones, any sign of it, girls, and anything we can find.
Oh, upset, confused, obviously very distraught. Just worried. All I want to do is have the girls get home safe.
I think One of them just like fell off the bridge and maybe broke their leg, and then the other one went down to help them and maybe they got hurt.
All options are on the table. Did they run away? Did they go to a party? Did they fall off the bridge? Did they get injured? No one had any idea what had happened to them. The official search was halted that night and picked up the next morning.
The next day, with the benefit of sunlight, it wouldn't take long to find Abby and Libby, about a quarter mile from the bridge on private property.
We have found 2 bodies about a mile east of town. We are investigating this as a crime scene. We suspect foul play.
Are there any either suspects or persons of interest being questioned at this time?
We have not gotten that far into the investigation, so I cannot comment one way or the other.
So along with the bodies, investigators find a video on Libby's cell phone, and it shows part of the girl's final moments. It's 43 seconds long, and it shows Abby on the bridge with a man walking behind her, and he's wearing a blue jacket, walking with his head down. And then when Abby gets to the end of the bridge, you hear her and Libby talking.
There's no path going there, so we have to go down here.
So then at the very end of that video, you do hear a male's voice, and it's really hard to make out what he's saying, but investigators were able to clean that up a little bit and then edit that along with the picture of him walking on the bridge, and that's what they released to the public.
Who was this person? Was he a trucker passing through? Could he have been a drifter? Was he a serial killer? This is really when the people in town started to pay attention and start to look around.
I had known that Abby and Libby were active on some kind of sites where you could meet new people, and part of me thought that that might have something to do with it, that maybe they had met someone online.
One of the first suspects they look at is Ron Logan. He's the property owner where the girls were found, and he did have a criminal record. And in many people's opinion, he resembled the man in Libby's video, known as Bridge Guy. In fact, a forensic artist made a comparison of pictures of Ron Logan with that Bridge Guy image, and it is pretty similar. And almost immediately after the bodies of Abby and Libby are found, Ron Logan's out there doing interviews with local media.
Who would have thought they'd let their children out to do something special that day, take a trip down, and then turn out with a disaster like this?
In an affidavit to get a search warrant for Ron Logan's property, an FBI special agent writes that she believes he is likely the killer of the girls and that evidence is going to be found in his home.
There are a couple key pieces of the Ron Logan probable cause affidavit. Perhaps the most compelling part of it is that he constructed an alibi for a crime that had not yet been discovered.
Ron Logan told police that while Abby and Libby were on the bridge, he was buying tropical fish 25 miles away at this aquarium store. Investigators believe the murders happened between 2:30 and 4, but the receipt from the fish store shows that Logan didn't buy the fish until 5:21.
Is that enough time to commit the murders and get to the fish store? That affidavit also says that his phone was in the proximity of that crime scene twice the night of the murders and after the state believes the killer left the scene. I asked Logan about that in a series of phone interviews.
Says I'm the murderer, and there will be blood evidence in my house from the murder.
But I didn't take that to mean that you killed the girls in your house.
Yeah, he said that that's a dump site down there.
Ron Logan, who died in early 2022, was never charged in the case, but he was also never cleared. Coming up, it would take almost 5 years for another potential break in the case.
Did you have anything to do with the murders?
Libby was a fun, outgoing person. She had lots of friends, lots of family who loved her. She liked going out, playing sports. Anything that she was doing something, she would do it. Abby would do anything with her friends. She loved photography, playing sports as well. They were just a fun couple of girls.
In 2019, 2 years had passed since the brutal murders of 14-year-old Liberty German and 13-year-old Abigail Williams. The girls' bodies were found in a wooded area not far from the Monon High Bridge in Delphi, Indiana. Libby was found nude, covered in blood. Abby was dressed, but in Libby's clothes. Both had cuts to their throats. Detectives had that chilling video found on Libby's phone of a man they were calling Bridge Guy, but no one was in custody. That's when investigators released a new sketch. This time, it was a much younger-looking suspect than the one released in 2017, right after the murders, which ended up raising more questions than answers.
I thought to myself, oh my gosh, they have no clue who did it. If they don't know, if the age range is from 16 to 40, I was like, do they know anything about him? Do they have anything at all?
Then, in late 2021, nearly 5 years after the murders, a potential break in the case.
Detectives with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office and the Indiana State Police have uncovered an online profile named Anthony Schatz.
This was an absolutely huge development. So many people thought this case was never going to be solved. And then they find this online profile that was used to lure 12 to 14-year-old girls to send nude photographs. One of the friends of that account, Libby German, and the man behind the account, Kegan Kline, lives in Indiana, just 40 minutes from Delphi. I talked to him when he was in jail, and he denied having anything to do with Abby or Libby's murder. Are you aware whether you may have talked to Libby on the 13th?
That's what they said. That's what the police told me.
That you did?
Yeah.
And do you have any recollection of that?
No, not at all. I've told them 100 times.
Did you have anything to do with the murders of Abby or Libby?
Not at all. And I've gave up my DNA, a hair follicle test. I've done everything they wanted me to.
Kegan Kline ended up pleading guilty to dozens of charges related to that child pornography and solicitation case, but he was never charged with anything related to Abby or Libby.
So as promising as the Anthony Schatz angle seemed, investigators were back to square one. Then in late summer 2022, a police volunteer named Kathy Shank found an overlooked tip in a desk drawer. A man named Richard Allen said that he was at the trails the same day as Abby and Libby. The tip was never followed up on.
Richard Allen is a 45-year-old married father who works at the local CVS drugstore, and he has no criminal history at all. He's from a tiny town not far from Delphi called Mexico, Indiana.
That's where Ricky Allen lived, over there in that yellow house when, early on. And I think when he first got married, they moved in there, if I remember right. And I known Ricky his entire life. He's a quiet kind of, he's very polite, always has been respectful to me. He'll go out of his way to say hi, just to say hello to me.
Great. Can't stay with Richard.
In October of 2022, investigators bring Richard Allen in for questioning, and he likely doesn't know it, but it's clear they think he's the killer of Abby and Libby.
Like I said, I think I was there probably. It could have been a little before.
Richard is relaxed. He's thinking that he's helping out. He wants to help out. Rick's a nice guy. He wants to be helpful, and I don't think Rick was thinking that way at all. I think Rick was thinking, oh, this is just part of the process.
We have a picture of your car that shows it was going out to the trails that day. Okay? You want me to say that that's my car? We looked at it matches everything. That is your car. Okay.
You see
Almost Richard Allen's eyes and his brain start churning of, I'm being looked at as the suspect in this case.
After more than an hour of this initial interview, things would shift dramatically as investigators confront Richard Allen with the printout of the bridge guy image captured on Libby's phone.
The question needs to be, is that you? If it was taken with the girl's phone, that is absolutely, I mean, it's not me, but I never have met these girls before, so even if I thought it looked like me, if it was taken with the girl's phone, there's no way it could be.
But at that point, it seemed like he felt like he was in some trouble.
So this is the situation we're at, okay? Basically this. Either you were out there to do this to the girls, or you were out there to be able to introduce the girls to somebody else. Okay. Good luck finding anything that points in that direction. I mean, it's not me. You're not going to make me believe it's me. You're not going to find anything that ties me to those murders, so I'm not really that concerned.
He has lived in town that has been searching for an answer for years and understands just being asked the question is going to be enough to make the town turn on him.
And you've lost my trust. I'm not going to talk to you anymore. This is stupid. Now you pissed me off. Well, I'm sorry about that. Okay. Are you arresting me? Well, I really want to try to get this thing worked out, okay? I want to try to get this thing worked out. Am I free to leave or not? You've always been free to leave. Thank you. You're
Coming up.
And my round wasn't, my gun wasn't 6 inches away from the dead girl's throat.
The bullet and a bombshell moment in court.
The person who sat next to me said, holy.
The Court TV podcast will return.
In late October 2022, detectives investigating the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German are laser focused on a local pharmacy technician named Richard Allen. He's been questioned once already, and his home has been searched. Investigators would reach out to Allen again, telling him he's free to come in and pick up some of the items collected in the search of his home. That turned out to be a ruse.
So he thinks he's coming in to pick up his car and to go home, and that was going to be it. But turns out he was there to answer some more questions, this time with lead investigator Jerry Holman.
Any of these knives or the gun, did you have that the day that you recall having that with you on the day of the 13th when you were out there on the bridge? Mm-hmm. No. You don't remember if you did or you didn't?
I didn't.
They've lied to him about giving him his vehicle back. They've lured him in, and they immediately, Holman immediately takes him into this side room and starts firing questions at him.
So we took your gun, your 40 cal SIG, and we sent it down there to the lab to have it matched with an item that we located on February the 14th when we found the girls.
Okay.
And that item was a 40 caliber Winchester round. We found that at the scene.
Okay.
The extraction marks on that round match your gun.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Well, it turns very quickly. He is accused almost right off the bat.
Oh my God, I didn't do anything. I didn't murder 2 little girls. I didn't help somebody murder 2 little girls. I wasn't involved in, what'd you say, scheming or whatever. I wasn't involved with these 2 girls in any way, shape, or form. Never even seen them before.
He responded like anybody that gets accused of something that's not true would respond. How am I supposed to respond to that? It's not true. It can't be my bullet.
Jerry Holman says something along the lines of like, I don't think you're a bad person. And Richard Allen's response is just so perfect.
I don't think you're a bad person. Neither does she.
What kind of good person kills 2 people?
The only thing that ties Richard Allen to the crime scene is this single unspent bullet. The problem is, Abby and Libby weren't shot.
Listen to me, Rick. I don't believe you should be the fall guy. But all the evidence, you say you're out there, we have witnesses out there, we have your vehicle, we have experts. We have experts that say that's you on the video and that's your voice on the video.
Okay.
Experts, not me, because I'm not.
I got you.
When Richard Allen showed up that day, he brought his wife Kathy with him, and they take her in another room and interview her there. But at one point during his interrogation, they bring her in, and it's fascinating to watch them together.
Hey, Brandon. Yeah. All right, baby. It's gonna be all right.
And it's to create tension between those two and hope that that's somehow going to cause Richard Allen to admit to something that he didn't do, and it didn't work either.
How did a bullet from your gun get out there?
I don't know.
Because they said it came from our gun.
I know that's what they believe me. That's what they're telling me.
But how did it get there?
I don't know.
They said there was one in your box above your dresser to match it.
They showed me that picture too. I can't explain it. And I don't.
I can't either. And they keep asking me, and I don't know how to answer that.
You start to see this sort of conversation between Kathy and Richard about her asking questions. You said this. Why'd you say that?
I told them I was on the bridge. I went out to the first trestle.
Oh, okay.
That first
I
thing
don't remember you telling me that. They told me, so I told them you weren't on it. But I didn't.
It doesn't, hon, you're not in any trouble. You didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. Huh?
I didn't know you were on it. I'm sorry.
Well, don't worry about it. Hon? Huh?
You told me you weren't, so I just was...
No, I told you that I walked.
Okay.
I love you, baby.
I think that makes everybody think, wait, did he tell his wife he wasn't on the bridge? So then I think more questions started unfolding of, did he actually tell his wife he wasn't on the bridge? Is she emotional and she's questioning everything?
I'm telling you, I can't explain something.
And I'm telling you, the analysts explain it. You can't get past this.
Can you please let my wife out?
Orderly. Come on, Captain.
I love you, baby. Can I kiss her?
Yeah, kiss her. Do the right thing, Kathy. Tell him to do the right thing.
By the end, he puts his hands out and says, just arrest me. And that's pretty much what happened.
I'm done talking. Arrest me.
Happy to. Be happy to, because I tried to help you and you wouldn't do it.
Oh, you're helping me.
Guilty, and I know it, and I'm prove it.
Okay.
They didn't have it. And I think that's what they were trying to do, was they were trying to get evidence. It's one really evil way to do it. But that's just speculation. I can't come up with a reason why they continue to treat Richard Allen so differently than any other individual in the Indiana Department of Corrections.
Richard Allen is arrested on a Wednesday, and at this point, the public has no idea that any of this is going on. And they wait until the following Monday, which is Halloween, to have a press conference at a local church.
Today is not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder is sure a major step in leading to the conclusion of this long-term and complex investigation.
My first reaction, I think everyone's first reaction was, who? We had no idea who this was.
When the name Richard Allen came up, at least for us here at the station, we thought, who is this? So there was questions because it wasn't a name that we had heard. It wasn't a name that surrounded the investigation in all the years prior since 2017.
My name is Nicholas McClellan. I'm the Carroll County prosecutor. Mr. Allen has had his initial hearing. He's entered a preliminary plea of not guilty, and he is in custody. He's being held currently without bond.
We expected to be excited and happy and like overjoyed that he's arrested, but now we're dealing with understanding that there's a lot of reopening wounds that's coming with that.
Everyone knew who he was. I mean, he worked there for so long. For a lot of people, he was a key part of going to CVS.
It's just hard for me to believe knowing him. And as long as I've known him, that he would even be capable of doing something like this. There's no way he could have done that. And I don't believe it for a minute.
Coming up.
Kathy Allen had called Brad and said something's wrong with Ricky. He's saying some crazy stuff.
This is a free call from
Ricky, probably gonna have to kill myself now.
God, you can't be calling me and talking like this.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
In the fall of 2024, nearly 8 years after the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German, a local pharmacy technician, Richard Allen, a married father, is standing trial for the horrific double murder of 2 teenagers. Despite global interest in the case, Special Judge Fran Gull ruled no cameras, laptops, tablets, even phones in the courtroom, leaving reporters to rely on handwritten notes for what was expected to be a month-long trial.
Opening statement from Nick McLeland was about a bridge guy, a bullet, and a brutal murder. And that was what he needed. That's what he said he needed to prove, was that Richard Allen was the bridge guy who was shot in video that was found on Libby German's phone. He needed to prove that the bullet that was found near their bodies came from a gun that they found at Richard Allen's house. And he needed to lay out how brutal the murder was.
I thought that's pretty thin. I hope if they're going to really be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Rick Allen committed this crime, I hope it's a lot more than a bullet, a brutal murder, and a bridge guy.
According to the state's case, the murders happened between 2:13 and about 3:50 p.m. Although no specific time of death was ever introduced at trial, their timeline begins with Allen's arrival at the trails, which the state says is 1:30. His car was captured on surveillance video. Abby and Libby arrived just before 2.
So a crucial marker is this Snapchat picture of Abby on the bridge. It was taken by Libby and uploaded at 2:07 p.m.
It's an incredibly important photograph for a lot of different reasons. Where's Rick Allen in that photograph? He's not there. The state's theory is that Rick Allen is following Abby. He should be behind her. They're halfway across. Rick Allen, 5'5.5", maybe, tiny little shoes, had to run, smokes a pack of cigarettes a day, would have had to have run all the way across that bridge to catch up with those girls.
The next item in the timeline is the video that Libby recorded on her cell phone of the man on the bridge. It was recorded at 2:13 p.m., 6 minutes after that Snapchat picture.
See, this is the path that we were down. There's no path going there, so we have to go down here.
I was surprised at just how short a time we saw somebody on the bridge, and all of a sudden somebody is just there, and then trying to figure out what they were saying back and forth. The prosecution had an idea of what they were saying, but I'll be honest, in court I didn't hear that.
During the search of Richard Allen's home in 2022, almost 6 years after the murders, officers would find a blue jacket like the bridge guys. But no DNA or blood evidence is introduced in court from that jacket or any other item.
And Richard Allen, who's committed no crime ever before this, before he allegedly does this, and he's so sophisticated. He leaves no DNA. That's just another. It's hard to swallow that.
Yeah, the lack of DNA, and I'm no expert on DNA, but I have to think that something would be left somewhere was the whole point, unless he really didn't have that jacket. But they're clearly, without DNA and without any kind of blood anywhere, anything like that, even years later, was questionable.
To show the brutality of the crime, graphic photos from the scene were displayed on a large 85-inch monitor. Abby is dressed in Libby's clothes, lying on her back. Libby is naked, lying next to a large tree. Both girls have large tree branches over their bodies. Abby died from a single cut to her neck. Libby from 3 to 5 cuts to hers.
That was one of the toughest days in the courtroom. Still to this day, like, I'm gonna cry. Try not to get emotional, but it was an emotional day in court, I think, for anyone. Whether you were there for Richard Allen or you were there for Abby and Libby, regardless, at the end of the day, this is 2 teenagers who went on a walk on a seemingly normal day, and they never came home.
A dramatic moment in court happens when the forensic pathologist, nearly 8 years after the crime, suddenly has a new theory about the murder weapon.
Dr. Roland Kaur did the autopsies, and he originally believed that there could have been 2 different weapons involved because of the cuts on the girls. And then 6 years later, on the witness stand, he testifies that he suddenly now believes it was a box cutter used to kill the girls.
So he makes that comment on the stand of, must have been a box cutter. That had to have been the murder weapon. And that was a moment that you noticed the defense sort of perk up. Like, what?
The reason the defense was so upset that the pathologist had changed from 2 knives to a box cutter had to do with the most compelling evidence that the prosecution had, Richard Allen's own words.
Hello, this is a free call from
Ricky.
Tommy.
Yeah.
Are you there? Are you there?
Yes, babe. Yeah, babe.
What's going on?
I just wanted to apologize to you.
What's going on, sweetheart? Are you not feeling well? You did
No,
what?
I didn't.
What?
I killed Abby. I killed Abby and Libby.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
So prosecutors claim that Richard Allen, in one form or another, confessed more than 60 times, and a handful of those were played in court.
Not all the confessions came from Richard Allen's mouth. A number of the confessions came from those reports that the other inmates were detailing. This is what Richard Allen said. Another, some of those other ones were confessions that he made to his psychologist inside of the jail.
It's really important for the state's case that the forensic pathologist changed his opinion from there being 2 murder weapons, 2 different knives, to being 1 weapon, a box cutter, because that aligns with one of Richard Allen's reported confessions.
After 2 weeks of testimony from more than 40 witnesses on Halloween, 2 years to the day after Richard Allen was taken into custody, the prosecution rested its case.
I was still waiting for, there's got to be another shoe dropping here somehow.
And even with the so-called confessions, and even with the bullet, there was so much reasonable doubt.
Coming up,
I kept thinking, well, will they put him on the stand?
Jaw-dropping new evidence from the defense.
And I can remember sitting next to the same reporter who also said, holy, is that what the answer is?
The Court TV Podcast will return.
By early November 2024, after 2 weeks of testimony in the prosecution's case, it was time for the defense to take center stage in the case against Richard Allen. By far, the most compelling evidence against Allen were his multiple alleged confessions, which defense attorney Andrew Baldwin was ready to attack.
No, I evidently did it.
No, you didn't. Why would you say that?
Because maybe I did.
People would tell me I'm crazy. Well, he's confessed to it, and I said, it's not a confession.
So the defense has a big problem with these confessions, and they try to fight them by saying that when he made these confessions, he had lost his mind. And their theory is that the state intentionally sent Richard Allen to a place that they knew would break him. After his arrest, instead of going to the county jail, they sent him to a maximum security prison.
Richard Allen was held at the notorious Westville Correctional Facility, a former state psychiatric hospital, where he was placed in a protective cell that was monitored 24/7 by cameras, other inmates, and guards.
It looks like a medieval kind of torture place with some old decrepit buildings.
He had all kinds of issues at Westville, basically pointing to mental breakdown.
His mental health deteriorated significantly, and his physical health deteriorated significantly. He just lost a ton of weight, and every time we'd see him, he was less and less together mentally.
I don't know what I'm doing. I feel like I've lost my mind.
Richard Allen's first confession happens in April of 2023, and that's about 5 months after his arrest and around the time that he was diagnosed with psychosis.
The conditions that he was in, the fact that the prosecution put on people who were there to monitor him all the time. Would I have been able to handle that? I don't know if everybody would have gotten to the point of saying, I killed Abby and Libby, but you could see where the defense had some kind of foothold to say, he's not there at that moment.
A defense expert who studies the effects of solitary confinement testified that anything over 2 weeks in solitary is basically torture. Even Westfield's warden admitted he'd never seen any inmate endure the 13 months of solitary that Richard Allen did.
And we know that some of Richard Allen's confessions were false. I mean, he claimed that he had started World War III, that he shot Abby and Libby in the back, and that he had killed his entire family. All of those things provably false. The one confession from Richard Allen that lined up perfectly with the state's case came from his prison psychologist, Dr. Monica Walla. She told the jury that Richard Allen told her that he intended to rape Abby and Libby and used that box cutter to kill them.
Dr. Walla was a Delphi fanatic, okay? She walked the bridge. She listened to podcasts. She knew about this case before she got on with Rick Allen, and I just imagined her being so excited about this tragedy, and now that she can get involved in this tragedy somehow. And Rick really liked her. That was the sad thing.
Next, the defense introduces new evidence from Libby's cell phone that was contained in the original extraction report, but the state overlooked.
Wired headphones had been plugged into the phone at 5:44 p.m. on February 13th and unplugged at 10:32 p.m. on the 13th. It was right there in their data. Literally, they didn't swipe far enough to the left. And it says wired headphones in.
When she got to that moment, the person who sat next to me said, holy. And so we both were dumbfounded by that there was a brand new timeline that they were suggesting.
The defense expert said one of the reasons why somebody might plug headphones into the phone is to silence it. And think about it, this is a time when Abby and Libby are missing, their families are desperately trying to find them. At 5:44 p.m., right as those headphones are plugged in, a call was coming in from Libby's grandmother. And even the state concedes by that time, Richard Allen is long gone.
According to the state, Libby's phone was under her shoe, under Abby's body from 2:32 p.m. on February 13th until the bodies were found a little afternoon on the 14th.
After 17 days of testimony and more than 60 witnesses, both sides rested their cases.
We felt good. I mean, we were nervous. It's the worst time for a trial lawyer, is that time frame after the jury walks out to deliberate.
And as it dragged into day 4, of waiting for that answer, I really thought it was going to be a hung jury. I just thought there was no way either side made their case. I didn't think that either side had nailed it down one way or the other.
Coming up.
And I can tell you, when the verdict was read, everyone was crying.
I was shocked.
This isn't over.
This is the Court TV Podcast.
After a month of testimony from dozens of witnesses, Day 4 of deliberations falls on Veterans Day 2024. Richard Allen, who served in the Army National Guard, will likely spend the rest of his life behind bars if he's convicted of killing 13-year-old Abigail Williams and 14-year-old Liberty German.
We are all gathered out here. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Delphi, Indiana, and we are waiting.
Monday morning comes, and so quickly we get a notification. There's a verdict.
Guilty on all 4 counts, unanimous by this jury. The defense did ask to have the jury polled. They all affirmed that that was, in fact, their verdict.
I can tell you, when the verdict was read, everyone was crying, both Richard Allen's family and Abby and Libby's family.
I was shocked. I really was surprised that we waited that long and it came back guilty.
For that to happen on my watch, it's awful. I was just numb. I hate losing ever. I really hate losing when I think I shouldn't.
I'm wondering how the jury didn't find reasonable doubt. I'm criticizing my own lawyering. I know there's a lot that we could have done differently, and that's the life of a trial lawyer, is you got to move on. But that's impossible. It really is. I'm never going to move on from this case, even when Richard is finally exonerated at a new trial. This case is never going to leave me.
At a press conference right after Libby's grandfather speaks on behalf of the families.
I really wanted to take the time to send out my appreciation that justice has been served for the girls. I want to thank the jurors. Hope they get a chance to see this, that they took time out of their lives and remained open-minded and objective and was able to look at the information and deliver a verdict.
How about we start to heal now? How about we hit that reset button and understand that justice in this country was served, and if you don't like justice in this country, go to another one.
During that question and answer period, I wanted to know, does this conviction now mean that all those other men that were looked at, men like Ron Logan and Kegan Kline and others, are they all now cleared?
Does it now mean that all the other men are cleared? Do we use that word?
I may not use that word cleared, but what I can tell you is we don't have any other evidence that ties them to the offense at this time.
I think when Nick McClelland can't say other people that were suspects are no longer suspects, he just can't say that with a straight face, that should cause alarm to everybody. This isn't over.
My hope for the trial going into it and throughout the whole thing was that the girls' families would find an answer and find some peace. And, I still hope that. I hope that no matter what everybody else is talking about, he's guilty, he's not guilty, he's wrongly or rightly convicted, is that the families come away with some kind of peace.
For me, justice for Abby and Libby is the need for no justice at all. I think what is important is talking about who they were while they were living, and that's what's most important to me. I really want to make sure that people know that they were good people and that their lives are constantly part of everyone who knew them's lives.
Richard Allen was sentenced to 130 years in prison. It's unlikely he'll ever become eligible for parole. I'm Ted Rowlands. Thanks for watching Victim to Verdict.
This podcast is a production of Court TV. Go to CourtTV.com for more content, trials on demand, and to find out how to watch Court TV in your area.